What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another little Falcon tutorial for you today. I've been playing around with the physical modeling oscillator, the pluck oscillator inside of Falcon. And we're going to just try and be a little bit creative with this and try and create sort of like a more, not a pluck sound, but like a kind of more kind of psytrance-y kind of FM sounding gritty lead thing. So I just I wanted to see what happened with different triggers for the, or different exciters for the pluck oscillator. So I've just gone and just recorded a few sounds from my own voice. Okay, well, let's just try this first one and see what we get from that. So I'm just in Cubase gonna just take a look at this audio file and just kind of cut it down slightly to, let's just close Falcon for a sec. Let's take a look here. Ta 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 ta. That'll do. I'm just going to render that down to a file, and let's open Falcon back up again. We are just going to drag our little cut that we made just straight into the mapping editor. You'll see we now mapped in sampler mode. Once you have a sample in sampler mode, you can just convert it to any other oscillator that would use samples as well. So just click and hold, and it'll bring up your oscillator selection. You can grab the pluck oscillator. Selecting the wavetable would obviously just load this into the wavetable, etc., etc. But we'll just grab our pluck one. So the pluck uses a sample to excite the synthesized section of this. So let's just see what happens. So it's using the vocal sample that we put in to excite the synth section. That's the body of the sound. You can add noise into, which would be like your string. Okay, cool. Let's just see what happens if we shorten this. Okay, just turn the brightness a little bit. Whoa. So that's sustaining it through the noise now. We want a little bit more plucky sound though. I quite like the lo-fi, it's a little bit crunchy. I want this to be kind of more like a lead sound, so we can turn up the decay, just to keep that sort of growly beginning sound going. That's kind of what we want. Let's do it. Let's just keep it running. So you can get some really interesting sounds with modulating these around. You can have multiple strings. Not sure that will make much of a difference now. But we've got kind of like a nice harsh digital sound there now. Let's run a filter. Let's stick a filter on here. We'll grab the let's try the res filter. I quite like the sound of this. Let's modulate the filter with a LFO. New LFO. I kind of want like a random. Okay, we want to set this to turn bipolar off so that its positive values only up. Turn down the amount slightly. And I do not want it to re-trigger. I want it to be a free running envelope. Just turn up the frequency a little bit. Alternately, we could also, on top of this, add a random modifier to this. So let's go to other and unipolar random. Again, I want only positive values. So now you can hear each note starting at a different spot. Just take a look at that LFO again. Yeah. Now let's do some more modulation. We go to the gain section for our key group. One thing to remember when you're modulating in Falcon with any volume related functions or parameters, you are modulating backwards. I'll show you what I mean now. Instead of taking the gain and instead of taking this gain and turning it down, you actually just leave it at its initial position. You add a modulator, and we can go to key group, and let's go for a step envelope. See, so it pulls it down instead of pushing it up. Quite often at other synths you'd have to turn this down manually and then you'd modulate upwards. This does it in reverse simply because that way you kind of don't get any unexpected volume spikes. Volume always goes backwards. So now we can put this into, let's grab 32 steps, put this into a frequency of 1/32. Let's re-trigger this one. Cool, so now we've got a cool little gated pattern going, but you'll notice that after the initial bright attack and also the random selection that's happening for each note, because we're holding the note down with the gates, it's not going to re-trigger. So we can go to our layer level and add a event processor. Let's go for the arpeggiator, and we'll take a look at our arpeggiator. Now it's just doing 16ths, so we're going to just ramp that up to, let's do quarters. And it's now re-triggering our envelope, so our step envelope. We can go back and turn off the re-trigger again. Actually, let's go back to 16th there. And we're going to have to, just because we're not re-triggering, we're going to have to just lock this into the actual track. So let's just put down a note so everything syncs up nicely here. Let's turn those off. And let's check that out. Are we looping? I quite like that. And all from messing around with just a simple little t-t kind of thing. Yeah, it's pretty impressive what you can do. So many different options, and no excuse for not being creative with this. Cool. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. Have fun, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.